Hello there, my name is Benjamin, and I am from the Coromandel Workers' Council. Today we will be discussing minimum wage. We will look at things like who gets a minimum wage, the different types of minimum wages, and how much you can expect to receive. So what is a minimum wage? A minimum wage is the lowest remuneration that employers can legally pay their employees. It is also the price floor below which employees may not sell their labor. The movement for minimum wages was first motivated as a way to stop the exploitation of workers by employers who were thought to have unfair bargaining power over them. Over time, minimum wages came to be seen as a way to help lower-income families. Modern national laws enforcing compulsory union membership which prescribed minimum wages for their members were first passed in New Zealand in the 1890s. So who gets a minimum wage? All workers aged 16 years and older are entitled to receive a minimum wage. If you are under 16 years old, then you're not entitled to a minimum wage. A worker is entitled to the minimum wage the day that they turn 16 years old. Minimum wage current rates. All of these minimum wage rates are correct as at April 1, 2022. The adult minimum wage is $21.20. The starting out minimum wage is $16.96. The minimum wage for someone in training is also $16.96. These rates recognize that workers will have different levels of experience and ensures that the rates of pay are appropriate because of that. The adult minimum wage applies to all employees aged 16 years and over who are not starting out workers or trainees, or involved in training or supervising other workers. What training and supervising means will differ from job to job, but it would usually include an employee overseeing the performance of another employee or instructing another employee in the performance of their job. This employee does not have to have direct line management responsibility. Also, the training or supervising needs to be part of the employee's role and not just a once-off. Starting out minimum wage applies to 16 and 17-year-old employees who haven't done 6 months of continuous employment service with their current employer. After 6 months with one employer, they are not starting out workers and must be paid the adult minimum wage. It also applies to 18 and 19-year-old employees who have been paid one or more Social Security benefits for 6 months or more, and who haven't completed 6 months continuous employment with an employer since they started being paid a benefit. These include domestic purposes benefit, emergency benefit, and the independent youth benefit. If an employee is supervising or training other workers, then the starting out minimum wage doesn't apply, and they must be paid at least the adult minimum wage. The training minimum wage applies to employees aged 20 years or over, and whose employment agreement states that they have to do at least 60 credits a year of an industry training program. Many of these employees will be apprentices. An apprentice has the same minimum rights and protections under employment law as any other employee but may be paid the training wage. The training minimum wage doesn't apply to employees who are being trained at work. It only applies to employees doing an approved industry training program. These employees must be paid at least the adult minimum wage. Other than wages and salary, the 3 other types of pay are piece rates, commission, and working for accommodation. A piece rate is a commission where the employee is paid for the number of pieces they worked on. An example, being paid for the number of bins of apples or kiwi fruit picked. Employees paid per piece must still receive at least the relevant minimum wage for each hour worked. A commission is when an employee is paid based on a percentage of sales they have made, such as car salesman. An employee can be hired on a commission-only or hourly rate plus commission basis. If they are hired on a commission-only basis, they are still entitled to receive at least the minimum wage or each hour worked. Employers cannot just pay an employee with accommodation. Payment for work must be in money. An employer and an employee may enter into an agreement in writing about accommodation being provided. A reasonable amount of money may then be deducted from the employee's wages. A job offer may not be contingent on the employee accepting accommodation from the employer. Employees must be paid in money unless their employer is the Crown or a local authority. Then the employer can choose to pay the employee by check. The employee agrees or asks in writing to be paid by postal order, money order, check, or bank deposit. If the employee wants to change to be paid in cash, they need to tell their employer in writing. Their employer then has to make the change as soon as possible and within 2 weeks. Or the employee is away from the proper or usual place for the payment of their wages, then they can be paid by postal order, money order, or check. This brings us to the end of another video about your rights in employment. If you have any questions, please get in touch with us. Visit www.c or email totaka@cwc.org.nz, or call us on 027 296 5276. Namahi.